So what we're going to do is, because we only have limited, because there's only so few names on the ballot, instead of going our usual where if we had 5 or 6 or 10 names, we'd call each name out and then we'd tick a box, all that kind of stuff. Just to speed things up, what we're going to do is we're going to move them, we're just going to put them into, there's 3 candidates for the office of, we're doing office of Urban. So I'm just going to put them in 3 piles, candidate names and spoiled. Okay? Part of your job is to make sure that I put them in the right ballot or right pile. She's also going to do the same. Okay, so we'll get started. Leon, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, Leon, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, spoiled. I'll come back and explain spoiled later. Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Leon, Eldon, Leon, except for that one. Eldon, Leon, Eldon, oh sorry, Darren, sorry. Leon, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Leon, Eldon, Darren, Leon, sorry, Darren, wrong call, thank you. Eldon, Leon, Leon, Darren, Eldon, Leon, spoiled, Eldon, Leon, Darren, Eldon, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, spoiled, Leon, Eldon, Darren, Leon, Darren, Leon, Darren, Leon, Darren, Leon, Leon, spoiled, Eldon, Darren, spoiled, Leon, Darren, spoiled, Eldon, Darren, Leon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, spoiled, Darren, Eldon, Leon, Darren, spoiled, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, Leon, Leon, Eldon, Darren, Darren, Leon. Leon, 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 Eldon, 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 Darren, Eldon, 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 Darren, Eldon, Darren, Darren, Eldon, 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 Darren, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Darren, Darren, Eldon, Eldon, Darren, Eldon, Eldon, Darren, Leon, Darren, Darren, Leon, Eldon, 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 Leon, Eldon, Leon, Eldon, and Darren. Okay.
Would it be faster as if you counted those I separated the blue ones?
No, let's just go through it together. Nine. Looks like there's 9.
7, 8,
9.
9. 9.
No?
9.
So there are 9 spoiled ballots. What I'd like to tell you about all of those spoiled ballots is that the elector chose not to select a candidate. So they're spoiled because they chose nobody, okay? Kill some more of those all.
Sure.
Yeah. These are the,
Yep.
give me water.
Do I have any water?
Yeah. Just put those aside.
Let me go look in the future.
Hmm?
I'll look in the
Oh,
fridge.
That's 10. Who put that as 10?
Counted 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
40 even.
40 even.
10, 20, 30, 40 for Leon.
Two.
49, 50, 100, 150, 169. $169 for Eldon. Ten, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 82. 82 for Darren. Can you add all those together for me? Get your phone.
$82 plus $169 plus $40 plus $9 equals $300.
300. Just one more time. Perfect. Thank you. We have results for Saskatoon, so I'm going to input those now. Start with the urban councillor. It's 29 ballots cast, which balances, of course. For Darren, there were 8 votes. For Eldon, there were 21. For Leon, there were 0. And 0 spoiled ballots. For the on-reserve counselor for the by-election, there are 29 ballots again, of course. For Ricky Bird, there were 16. For Jeff Okamo, there were 9. And there were 4 spoiled ballots. For the office of chief, again, there were 29 ballots. For Joyce, there were 11. For Frank, there were 17. And 1 spoiled ballot. Good. All right.
We good here?
Yeah, we're good. Those can be put away. Get my suitcase back there. I'm going to put these in 2 piles, but do you just want to try and check and keep up with me?
Yeah.
That way we don't have to do the count at the end.
Okay.
Wanna do that? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Okay, for the, we're going to do for the councillor now. Montreal Lake councillor by-election. If I go too fast, just let me know. You have mark them there. Mark them there, and then we don't have to do it so after, right?
Okay.
Okay. Ricky. Jeff. Ricky. Jeff. 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 Ricky. Jeff. Ricky. Jeff. 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 Ricky. Jeff. Jeff. Ricky. Jeff. Jeff. Ricky. Ricky. Jeff. Ricky. Jeff. Ricky. Spoiled. Jeff. Jeff. Ricky. 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 Jeff. Ricky. Ricky. Jeff. Jeff. Spoiled. Ricky. Jeff. 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 Ricky. Jeff. Ricky. Jeff. 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 Ricky. Jeff. Ricky. Jeff. 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 Ricky. 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 Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, spoiled, sorry. Spoiled. Jeff, Ricky, 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 spoiled, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, 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 Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Jeff, spoiled, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, 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 Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, spoiled, Ricky, 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 Jeff, 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 spoiled, Jeff, 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 Ricky, Jeff, 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 spoiled, Jeff, Ricky, 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 Jeff, Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, 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 Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, spoiled, Jeff, 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 Ricky, 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 Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, 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 Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, 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 Ricky, Jeff, 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 Ricky, Jeff, spoiled, Ricky, Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, 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 spoiled, Ricky, 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 Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, spoiled, Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, 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 spoiled, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, 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 spoiled, Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, spoiled, Jeff, 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 Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, 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 Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, 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 Jeff, 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 Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, spoiled, Ricky, 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 Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, 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 Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, 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 Ricky, 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 Jeff, Ricky, Jeff, 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 oh yeah, that's fine, sorry, Ricky, Ricky, Jeff, Ricky, spoiled, Jeff, Ricky, 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 and Ricky. Okay, the spoiled ballots again were for two reasons. Either they didn't cast a ballot, so they didn't select somebody, or they select both. Okay? So spoiled ballots were
1, 2, 3, 17.
17 for Ricky.
10,
No,
20,
Ricky.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20, 30, 9.
139 for Ricky. And for Jeffrey.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20, 30, 43.
143. Give me a total ballot. $2.99. Okay. So for Ricky again, sorry.
139,
Jeffrey,
143,
And spoiled?
17.
Just add those all up one more time. Okay,
Do you want me to count those steps?
no, that's fine. Those away. All right, we did the chief ballot yet. I haven't heard back from the other 2 stations yet, so. Red, counting, okay. Hmm? Oh, sorry. Just gonna make sure you all clear away. And then we'll wait for the other 2 polling stations to report in, okay? We had 3 times their ballots, so if we beat them, shame on them. No, just kidding. They're new at this, so they're a little slower than us. Okay, you ready? Joyce. Frank. Joyce. Frank. Joyce. Frank. 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 Joyce. Frank. Joyce. 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 Frank. 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 Joyce. Joyce. Frank. 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 Joyce. Frank. Frank. Joyce. Joyce. Frank. Frank. Joyce. Frank. Joyce. Joyce. Frank. Joyce. 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 Frank. 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 Joyce. Frank. 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 Joyce. 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 Frank. Joyce. 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 Frank. 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 Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, 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 sorry, correction, Frank, 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 Joyce, 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 Frank, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, Frank, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, 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 Frank, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Frank, Joyce. Hello? Yes. I don't know, I haven't checked. I'm just in the middle of counting ballots here. No, that's okay. Let me just take a look. Just hang on the line. Just stay on the line. Hang on one second. How did you send them, Helen? By email?
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like I have them all. Okay, just hang on, I'm just going to check all three here. Yeah, so I got for counselor, for urban, and for chief. Got them. Good. I got them all. I do, yeah. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Good, how you doing? Good. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay. And you sent me the results there for each office? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so you missed two then. Oh, okay, but we should have added them, but that's so fine. Make a note and, yeah, okay. No, that's fine. Can you send me the two names that need to be added, because we'll need to mark them off on one feather as having voted, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I need you to, hey, Ron, I'm in the middle of a count, so just send me the email and I'll add them at my end. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. If I have any questions, I'll give you a call. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. You're good for tomorrow, eh? Oh, okay, fantastic. Thank you. Bye. Okay, continue on, right?
Yep.
Frank. 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 Joyce. Joyce, Frank. Frank, Frank, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, 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 Joyce, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, Frank, Joyce, 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 Frank, Joyce, Joyce, Frank, 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 Joyce, 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 Frank, 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 Joyce, and Joyce. No spoiled ballots.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 40, and 161.
So 13, 301. Perfect. Joyce, Naytowhow McLeod, 140. Frank Roberts, 161. 0 spoiled ballots. Okay, so what I'm going to do with the last polling stations is I will connect to the studio if it's possible. I'm assuming that cord goes a little bit further than it does. And I'll input the results from the last 2 polling stations, okay? And I'll show you how all that works. Great. So for, actually, let's start with urban council. 108, so for Gary.
33,
Eldon.
59, 14, 2.
So for Darren, 33, Eldon, 59, Leon, 14, Swell, 2. And do the Montreal Lake Councillor. 108 again.
108, split.
Ricky Bird.
Just a sec. Ricky. 71,
Jeffrey.
28,
Swell.
9.
So Ricky Bird, 71, Jeffrey, 28, Swell, 9.
Yes.
And for Chief. 108.
Yes. Joyce,
Yes.
62,
Frank,
44,
spoiled.
2.
Okay, and then for, gotta find the email. Fortunately, yeah.
Urban.
102.
102,
Mhm.
Darren, 80, Eldon, 12, Leon, 5, spoiled.
Darren 80, Eldon 12, Leon 5, spoiled 5. Just for those of you watching, if the ballot totals didn't balance, it wouldn't let me proceed. So because those 102 has to, but all the ballots have to equal the total ballots cast. Okay, for Montreal Lake Council,
Ballots 102, Ricky, 64, Jeffrey, 26, spoiled, 12.
Ricky 64, Jeffrey 26, spoiled 12.
Yep.
And then for Chief, Joyce.
One or two ballots, Joyce, 91,
Right,
8,
spoiled.
3.
Joyce 91, Frank 8, spoiled 3.
Yes.
Okay, so all the polling stations have been reported in. We finalized all the counts. I'm going to present you with the results. Total ballots cast 859. All polling stations are recorded in. For Chief ballot, total votes for Joyce mcleod-naytowhow 495, Frank Roberts 353, spoiled 13. For Urban Councillor, total votes for Darren Bird 350, Eldon Johnson 377, Leon Sorensen 108, spoiled 25. And for Montreal Lake, for the by-election, Ricky Bird 481, Jeffrey Okomo 312, and spoiled 66. All right, I'm gonna leave those up. We actually have to make the official declaration, so we have some paperwork to do, so just give us a few minutes to finalize all that. Seven, Eldon H. Henderson. In the matter of the Montreal Lake by-election for councillor with the highest number of votes, Ricky D. Bird, 481. You hereby declare elected. In The matter of the chief for the official count with the highest number of votes, Joyce Natejo McLeod with 495. I'm going to leave these here. Take as many pictures as you like, post them all over the world, but do not touch or take them away. Thank you. You'll notice variation in total counts because we had two extra folks in, not extra folks, but two folks we needed to add that didn't get added today. We'll add them to the voters list. On one feather story, they were on the official voters list, and so sometimes not everyone turns in all the ballots. So you'll see a slight variation of 1 or 2 ballots in the count, okay? But for chief, all ballots, because there's no spoiled ballots, all ballots are accounted for, and the total number of ballots balances, okay? It does appear as well that even in terms of the spoiled ballots, those spoiled ballots again where folks didn't cast ballots, right? Or they cast too many. It does not appear that if any of the spoiled ballots were to be taken into consideration, it would change the outcome of the results either. They have no impact on the results. Yes. Now, the swearing-in ceremony is being broadcast live stream. It'll be up to Stephen. Stephen will be the chair to decide how many folks he lets in the room for COVID purposes and other kind of restrictions. But it will be broadcast or live streamed, okay? And Conrad, I understand, is doing that, okay?